Okay, great. Yeah, so those of you who have installed Positron have already kind of poked around in it. You know that that's what we're looking at right here. So this is the sort of welcome page where they're offering you the opportunity to kind of start off with some templates, etc., things they think might be handy. So I'm going to open up, is my, oh, there we go. Get this. So for those of you who might be new or haven't messed around with this yet, there's this kind of folder slash project like hybrid sort of situation. It's a little different from our projects in our studio, and it's much more like just sort of a regular folder-based workflow that you might be used to for some things. So let's, all right, so I have this in a Quarto file for a couple of reasons. One, because I love checklists, and two, because I think it's a good way to start on some of the Quarto features that we'd like to look at. So one, while I'm in here, oh, of course that's going to happen. Error starting. That's that because this hasn't started yet. I'm gonna say if this one doesn't work, I'll just open it. I have multiple positrons open, so. One moment. Pause my screen share. Ooh, I previously had a working version of positron open. Index data. Oh, it's okay, so it's not pointing to the right place. All right. So one thing I can do, which is pretty handy here, and I was going to be able to use it to fix this embarrassing error, is that I can copy the path right from in here, and I could say, okay, fine. If you refuse to find my file, I will find it in spite of you.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yes, this is one thing that is very cool that I want to go over with the Explorer window, especially. There are so many ways in which Positron makes it easy to find and access things. There are a lot of really cool like previewing features, and I want to kind of highlight some of those. So who am I and why am I here? Crystal's already introduced me, and then obviously if you guys are here, you sort of know what we are here to talk about, which is Quarto. And then there's also you. Who are you and why are you here? And the reason why I have included images here, because you guys can all see my face and you all know who you are and what your logo looks like. But something pretty cool, and one of the little features in here, while I am in Quarto, I'm in my little live Quarto document, and hey, look, isn't that nice? I put my mouse inside of my image and it goes, hey, that's what your image looks like. Which is just pretty neat. You can also use this for live checking on equations. So if you're using LaTeX to make some really complex math equation, I think anybody here who's done that knows that is an awful headache. You're just kind of crossing your fingers and hitting refresh, just hoping that it's going to show up. So just a really nice little built-in kind of preview when you're working in a Quarto document is this lovely little Quarto preview over here. All right, so let's make this a little easier to see. So who are you and why are you here? Again, you're here to talk about Positron, and hopefully we can get to some of those additional questions that you guys had, but I do have several kind of on deck. All right, so again, if you're here, you at least have some idea, but you may have heard these terms repeatedly when people are talking about positron. So they really emphasize that it's a polyglot IDE and it's built specifically for data science. And the polyglot portion, it's got native support for both R and Python. That just comes, it's not packaged with it. You do have to install R and Python separately, but it's got native support and it's very much plug and play right out of the box. It is easily extendable to include other languages. I've seen people using Rust in here. I've seen people using a couple of different programming languages, but it is meant to be the place where anybody in particular who works across multiple languages, many of us will maybe use Python to format or do something with files and then bring it into R for data work. Or you've got Pandas stuff and you've got R stuff. It's designed to make those things easy. And it's also designed for the needs of data practitioners specifically. And I think, what's her name? Julia Silge, is that her name?
I think it's Silgi, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Yes. When she talks about Positron and she talks about the specific features that are so good about it, one thing that actually kind of made me feel nice was that she was highlighting the fact that, yes, even though Positron has VS, well, not quite VS Code, but a VS Code sort of fork under the hood and is deeply, deeply powerful for kind of classic developing and with more sort of classic development tools, some of which are really sophisticated and many of which are quite over my head. This is not specialized for that kind of development, right? This is specialized for the needs of what she calls data practitioners. And the features that really support this exploratory and interactive coding are what make Positrons so appealing for this purpose. Now, again, I'm just showing you these little Quarto preview things, which are handy if you're working with Markdown. But when we get into some of the features of the data grid and some of the other exploratory, they're responsive. They allow you to quickly make changes, look at the changes. They're designed to support what she refers to as code first data analysis. But as we all know, I don't walk up to a data set and know what I have to do. I walk up to a data set being like, oh God, what horrors await me this time? So it's designed to allow people who have those particular challenges to be able to work through them. And yeah, again, the philosophy is like what happens in the console, it's reflected where you're working. I started using Positron because I very much struggle with Python for data science. And I found that in particular, the data view, the data grid actually made it like approachable for me to figure out what was wrong with my Python code. Docs are very nice, very easy. It is built on what's called code open source, which is the same source as VS Code. So I know somebody asked like what is different about it as far as VS Code goes. And it's got a bunch of capability that just integrates with VS Code. VS Code extensions work with it. Oddly enough, the R VS Code extension does not work with it because it's not designed to be used in this environment. But like I said, it can kind of accommodate very sophisticated development tools if that's your bag. It is not finished. It is absolutely not finished. It is in active beta. If you guys have had any experiences like I have, you notice this might get buggy. I have had the number of times I have had it just like throw away data sets that it should be able to see or just crash on me is very high. So it's not appropriate for you if you need something stable and polished. And it's not as fully featured as RStudio for like R specific needs. So there are some tools that are particularly specialized for R that may never make it into Positron. There's some features that I'm really hoping will eventually arrive. I am praying that the import dataset functions from RStudio, which I love so much and which have that lovely preview and allow you to change your delimiters and everything. I'm praying that they bring those to Positron. That's the main thing I'm hurting for not having. Right, so okay,
it looks like you have a quick question, Katie.
What's that?
It looks like you have a quick question in the chat. Do you find when you face crashes, it still saves your code, or do you have issues with it erasing your code?
I have personally found that it does a really good job at keeping the progress that I've made. And actually, to that effect, I'm going to show you another cool little thing. I'm going to try to just like highlight sort of one of these at a time. So I'm going to put the little Quarto preview away. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, I want timeline. Timeline's what I want. So this is pretty cool. You can jump through little snapshots and you can have them compare. It's kind of got GitHub style code comparison and differences. This would actually be easier to see if I didn't have
really
this. And there we go.
cool.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome. And again, I don't actually have this set up as a Git backed up file. This is just purely something that Positron said you might find useful. And so that is just a really cool feature. So I actually have found, yeah, it crashes a lot, which is annoying. I'm not working on like super important personal production level code in here. I am working on, I'm working on toy data sets, kind of. One thing I want to do actually is see if can I have the chat display in addition? Maybe I can't.
It's okay. I'll keep telling you if chats come in.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so I also had, there was another thing. I'm trying to remember what else I wanted to have. Okay. All right, well, so some of the port overview features, we already looked at that. Interpreter selection. So this is really cool. I'm sure you guys are aware, right? You can switch between a Python kernel and an R kernel, but something that is super exciting and something that I am incapable of doing in RStudio is that you can download and use different versions of R, and you can switch between them this easily, like with a click. And I don't know if anybody here has used Rig before. So Rig is what I've used to switch to kind of download back versions of R, and you can pick pretty much any version I think that's available on the CRAN archive. And I've got a Mac, so I just ran Homebrew, installed Rig, and then you use the terminal to get stuff from it. So that's not what I want. All right. But it's a pretty simple interface. And if anybody is interested, I do have a list of sort of like suggested links if anybody wants to follow up with things like Rig, because I strongly recommend it. It's always, it always used to scare me, the idea of downloading a new version of R when I wasn't certain that it was going to be able to work with everything I have.
You've got people saying, yes, please do share that.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, and somebody else mentioned, Libby mentioned R switch too. Have you ever heard of that, Katie?
What is it? R switch? I have heard of R switch. I don't know what's wrong with me. I wasn't able to make it work as easily as I was Rig. But yeah, no, I was a big fan. All right. So yeah, so the interpreter selection, definitely really nice. All right, so the Explorer panel. So we've already kind of looked at some of this. I was trying to get, okay, here we go. I do. All right, so when I mentioned the kind of project workflow, and I opened up this folder. One of the things that you have in your Explorer panel is just your open editors. So that's always nice, right? You can pop something like this open. Now I've got these two open. There are some pretty handy, let's see. There's a search feature, which I will, not this search. I'll go over that search in a second. Let's see, where is is it this one? Does this search the, I think. Yeah, there we go. So again, pretty exciting. I've got these 3 files that are in my workspace. I just type something in. If I want, I can do a find and replace, but I can very quickly just click the results, and boom, I've got all of these references available to immediately jump to. Which again is something that I know you can do some search in RStudio. I find this interface a little bit sort of more approachable, a little bit easier. So that one's definitely cool. These are open editors. And yeah, so again, you can pretty easily, with some things you can do, like I just made this kind of little toy example, but I didn't have to open this. I clicked on this and it was automatically loaded for preview into the data viewer, which again, very exciting. Now, some things it gets really mad if you have something that's quite large. It eventually decides that it's sad. Yeah, this also has unusual line terminators. And the county data it doesn't like because this is an XLS file. So you can read this in with read Excel, that package, but you can't preview it. However, again, if the met objects wasn't kind of broken, a .text, a .csv, those kind of like plain text files, if you're working with those, very nice. You don't need to remember what the file is. You don't need to open it. And it hasn't been loaded yet, right? This is just a little preview. All right, so that was some of the Explorer. There's a very nice outline. The particular thing I have open doesn't have an outline, but this one does. So you've got this for script files if you have sections, right? And you've got it for um, Porto files. So. Any questions about any of the kind of capabilities on this sort of Explorer pane type thing?
So when you were clicking on that tiny.csv, was it showing you like a summary of the variable? I couldn't tell what it was showing you.
Yeah, so unfortunately I made this as just an example that's like literally, I think it was just A, B, and C were the only entries in that.
Yeah.
Let's see, we could probably throw together a little CSV. I'm just going to do, I don't know. This is kind of meaningless column titles here, but 3. Let's see it. Save this in here as simple.csv. Oh, it's not in the data folder. It's in here. Oh, that's because this is not a line break. All right, let's try that. Oh, it is not giving me the preview I would like here. Again, okay. This one is a little, this one it gets confused by because this one rightfully should probably be saved as a CSV. Let's see if I update the end of this. Nope, I'm trying to open you. Go away. Yeah, this one was happier getting loaded in as a CSV when I was loading it into our, oh goodness, okay, right, fine. We're going to ignore that because the met objects file is but all right.
All good. I think we get this. All right.
Okay, so there's the Explorer panel. All right, and so then, yeah, the session pane. So I was going, like I said, I had originally been thinking it would be nice to work with a democracy-related data set. Ended up deciding that wasn't particularly appealing. So over on the session pane. Really? Oh, okay. In which occasion do you use Positron especially? So again, for me, actually, I found Positron most helpful when I was initially trying, I'm still trying a little bit to learn data science in Python. It is miserable if anybody has tried it. I'm not a huge fan of pandas. I'm hoping to get an opportunity to learn more about polars. But so what I found helpful was the feature that I'm about to look at now, which is the Data Explorer, right? So similar to the RStudio kind of environment pane, which we're all used to, right? If I want to just create like an example variable or just an example, whatever function here, x times y, okay. They're all nicely organized by type. That's one option. You can group them by kind. You can also group them by size, which is pretty cool. And you can decide how you want to sort them. But yeah, so something that's like just a simple value like that, it's just going to appear that way. Let's see, can I get words into my why first argument has length greater than 1. The hell it does. Whatever, it doesn't want to be anyway. Okay. Right. So in contrast to the RStudio environment kind of data viewer, you can actually sort of drill down into things in a way that you can't typically do. So normally, if you are in the RStudio environment viewer, you can see about this far, right? So it's basically giving you the results from running struct. It's giving you a breakdown of the data type. It's giving you how many entries you have or how many rows you have of that data type. But that's about all the information that you can get from there. So something that's pretty nice here is that you can drill down farther. And something that I find kind of weird, I'm not sure when I would want this, but it is an interesting feature, is you can say, I want to copy this as text, and it literally copies the whole vector for you. Now, I really wish that it copied it with commas. That would be amazing, because then you could sort of do like, just wrap that in a concatenate command. But sometimes when we're messing around with data interactively, you just kind of need to grab something. And I do like that there are a lot of ways that you can do that. And one way is from here. I think you can also you can individually copy entries if you want. But if you want to copy, like, for example, you kind of want to multi-select, you can't do that in here, but you can do it here, which is pretty cool. This is I don't know why, for some reason, I know exactly what this is called, and for some reason it is completely leaving my brain. Let me look at my notes. The Data Explorer. There we go. This is the Data Explorer, and it's got a couple of key features. It's got the data grid, which is this nice kind of grid-like summary of the data. Or rather, not summary of the data, but preview of the data. You can see all of your data. You can scroll ages and ages. This is a common place I've heard people have crashing issues, especially if you have like really huge data sets here, that Positron's not doing the greatest job in the world of handling those. But you can do this. And like I was saying, actually, I'm going to put this away and highlight that thing I was saying about copying. So if you want, you can multi-select, you can copy. You can also, if I'm not mistaken, I'd love it if I could just, whatever, this one will do. Include some links. Please excuse the insanity of my desktop. But so I can copy that like that. I can do one better, and I can copy these two things. And notice I didn't highlight the column name. It brought the column name along with me. And again, as a person who typically doesn't like to work in Excel, I try to avoid it. I think a lot of us understand the dangers of that kind of thing. Every once in a while, it is easier to just grab something, copy it, put it somewhere else, apply something for whatever reason, throw it in an email, who knows, right? Just delete all of that. But it's pretty cool. You can select a whole column by doing this. And again, if you want to just, yeah. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I keep pasting into the same sized thing. You can select a whole column. You can select sets of rows with all the columns. Very, very nice little kind of interactive thing. So then there's also this summary feature, which is, again, one of the things that like really kind of blew my mind about Positron initially. So it's giving you a bunch of information at a glance. It is giving you a histogram of their numeric values. It's for every type of data, it is calculating how many are missing. You see this little kind of progress bar here. Notice as you get later into the billboard weeks, you have more and more data that's missing. It's giving you some quick summary values. If you have, sort of string data, it's not trying to give you inappropriate numeric values, right? It's telling you how many are missing. It's telling you how many are empty, so like a blank string, just two quotes essentially, and how many unique values of track you have. And again, these are things when I'm looking at a data set, I'm using the count. I'm using count all the time. I'm using n distinct all the time. And I'll still probably continue to do a lot of that in code, but it's nice that there's this option that you can kind of already have that stuff that we data practitioners need right up front. Another nice thing about this, especially if you have a big data set, is once you double click in here, now there's not much interesting information in week 72, but in this thing, if I double click on a column, it takes me right there within my data set, which is very handy kind of navigational option. So that is the, let's see, mark things off on my checklist here. Let me go back here. All right. So we looked at session pane and we looked at we're kind of on the road with this. So we looked at the data grid and we looked at the summary panel. And now we've got the filter bar, which is really cool. We've got filter bar and we also have sorting. So similar to our studio, you can sort, but the nice thing is that you can actually add multiple sorts that are existing like alongside one another. Again, the same way that you might when you're actually interactively coding, you might say, okay, I want ascending by artist, I want descending by track, and it's going to keep all of them. Unless I'm mistaken, I might just not be able to do it in our studio, but I've only ever been able to kind of order it by like one column at a time. And if anybody knows a trick to fix that, please let me know. But as far as I understand, this is kind of a new, a positron specific thing. So you can also just clear the sorting, so you don't have to be worrying about like running around and trying to individually locate it. And then we've got filters as well. So you can either add a filter. If you go to the column and you click the ellipsis, it'll automatically populate with the column. And you can pick a bunch of handy features. I don't think any of these are null. None of them are missing. But this is pretty cool, right? Let's see. You might be. I'm afraid to try a regex match because I know I'm gonna definitely made for data purchase. It is very cool. All right, let's not worry about regex maxes because that's just going to be me struggling with it. But let's see somebody who starts with a 3. All right, and we've got 3 doors down. But the nice thing is, again, I don't have to just use that one thing. So I can go say, all right, let's see who has a value for week 53 that isn't null. Weirdly enough, 3 doors down is still contained here. And I would also like to find a date that is, whatever, it's greater than 1999, 12, and that should get me here. I can also, it doesn't really apply here if I don't leave all these things in place, but in addition to this, I can still add sorting, right? So again, you can really customize how you're looking at your data set, and you can just do it with just a little bit of clicking around. And it's stuff I'm sure we are all pretty comfortable doing in code, but when you're just trying to get your feet under, you're just trying to get familiar with a data set, it's really super handy. Does anybody have any questions or any tips you want to share from what you've seen kind of exploring in Positron yourself? All right. All right, so there's also the plots pane, and I had a little something. Okay, oh, there we go. Oh, right. I was going to do Plotly. Plotly has, it's just called Fig. Hold on. I had this in here. Plotly. There we go. So in addition to the variables, we have also got the plot viewer. This is also, let's see, I'm just going to do, could not find function. Really? Oh, So again, in comparison to RStudio, something that's really nice about this plot previewer is that it includes the option to have a mini visual version of the plot. That's probably the main thing that I like about this in comparison to RStudio, where you're sort of just like arrowing around and kind of hoping to find the one that you had. It's pretty easy to just get rid of one. You can just click X, and you can customize whether you want to have this little preview on or not. So, right, if I turn it off, then I'm basically back to the RStudio version of this. I can only move around via arrows. If I turn it on or leave it on auto and I have more than one, then it's gonna give me the option to jump around here. Now, Plotly figures, for some reason, you do have the option to open it in a new window. It's popped over in my other desktop. I'm not sure why I can get the Plotly figures to pop open into a separate window, but I couldn't get ggplot to pop into an open window, and I couldn't get this basic one to go. I can't tell you why. This is in beta. I think some features, they're just trying to get to them when they get to them.
Yeah, I think you just keep blaming beta. It's all good.
Pretty much. But again, just a couple of really handy things here in the plot pane. You can automatically resize in these like special shapes. Can I explain what kernel it's using? You have both Python and R code in the same script, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I will get to the kernel question in a second. I'm just going to put a pin in that, but yes. So, but just a short answer for your question right now, it is currently running R, and I do not actually have any Python. Personally, I don't have any Python code in what I have on screen here. Bye, Mary. Thanks for coming. Right, yes. So you've got this really nice little sort of quick auto shaper. And although I can't pop it out into its own window, I can either save it or I can just very quickly copy it. And being copied to the clipboard, I can paste it. Again, sometimes you just need to throw something into an email for somebody, and you can just easily do that. And you can get it to fit some nice little shape, or you can always make it a custom size if you like via here. And then you can also save in whatever format. Yeah, you can also fit it to, I think, helps kind of fit to the width of the window, just a degree. I just tend to make it fit, and I just tend to let it kind of automatically decide what it wants to do. Oh, there we go. My preview jumped down to the bottom. All right, so that's plots. Okay, yes. So what it is using right now is the R kernel that I have active. You are able, I believe you can have, I think you can have both running at the same time. I pop over to my R console. So like, okay, so that's my R thing that's currently running. If I went to Python, God, I don't even remember any Python. Let's see if I wanted to say that. Nope, that's not. Unfortunately, that just looks like an R command. However, the nice thing is, again, these are both active right now, right? So you see the little green next to them. So if I were working in, say, a Jupyter notebook, which I can probably, let's see, if I do new file, I can do a Jupyter notebook. And right now it's saying this one is Python. Again, I am totally blanking on any Python code, so we're just going to do that and have that be Python. And then I'm going to add more code, and I'm going to say I would like this code. Oh, no, I should be able, there we go. That one. And we'll just do random Arnold. So,
Although it looks like it just changed your top one to R instead of Python too.
This one?
The code change.
Oh, no, that's true. It
Yeah,
did. That's
isn't that
odd.
strange? Yeah.
Oh. Hmm. Maybe that doesn't. I thought you could pick. I don't know. Let's if I say auto detect. Oh, this one might be R because it's too similar. Maybe. Let's see. Somebody give me a more Pythonic. I guess maybe like import NumPy, let's say. And if I try to run that, that's not going to work here. All right. I was mistaken. I guess, yeah, it wants to jump all of them. That's odd. All right, well, that's something I should follow up on. But okay, so putting it aside that I can't get it to work under both the Python, the Jupyter Notebook, the nice thing is I do still have both of these consoles running here. And you do notice this just automatically switches at the top. So I can be working here. I can have variables in my workspace. I can have Python variables in my workspace. I have access to my Python variables. Name A is not defined. What? Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm using R syntax to try to assign. All right. So I've got this little value in my Python environment. And then when I switch over to R, I still have all of my variables there. My workspace in R is still intact. And so I can move back and forth between these pretty easily. All right, so I see questions in here. I guess I was under the impression the use case will be most powerful is that you can have a chunk of Python and a chunk of code in this R in the same script in the data in R. So I will confess, as far as the interaction goes, I have primarily been working with one or the other in Positron. So apart from knowing you can kind of toggle in the console this way, and that would allow you to do something like, say, write a Python script that does something to your data. You can be looking at the data, you can have it open in the viewer. You're writing a Python script that does something, who knows, maybe cleaning up spacing or something. Have that script save the output, and then you can switch over to R to do your analysis. So although you're not necessarily, in that case, writing all the code in the same script file, you don't have to leave this IDE, and you don't have to close or shut down one of your workspaces in order to do that switch.
I think you can do both. I just am not sure what it is, why it keeps switching it for you, because it should. I'm gonna put something in
Yeah,
chat, but it should work. So I'm not sure why it
yeah,
keeps switching. Yours is just giving you a hard time.
yeah. It's who knows. Yeah, that one I'm not. Oh, good. Is there a?
Yeah, I haven't found the answer yet, but I definitely see screenshots where people are doing it, so I'm just not sure why yours is switching.
Yeah, well, it's because I'm giving a presentation.
I know, it totally is.
Yeah, but so they have it in the
Scroll
same
down a little bit, there's
notebook.
two chunks in the same. I think if you go a little bit further down, there's image 5, I think, has the two chunks.
Image 5, here we go. All right, so these are
There you
both
see a Python and an R.
IPy. Yeah, I'm not sure. See, they've got, theirs is in Conda, but that probably doesn't have anything to do with it, right? Let's see. All right, and then, okay, ignore the above, it's already answered. There we go. I have to use MNE. Yeah, so yeah, this might be partially just an issue that my computer is having. Seems like should be able to do that. There may be something about my kind of auto detect settings or something. I will confess I am not a huge fan of Jupyter Notebooks myself, but I do know that a lot of people who use a lot of Python do end up using them. It's on auto detect and then it's markdown, but this isn't even a Python thing. Oh, no, that's not it. I was going to say I may not have.
You'll probably figure it out as soon as we get off the call.
That is absolutely what will happen, yes. All right. Okay. All right. So we kind of covered the Data Explorer. We covered the plots pane. Like I said, that was kind of what I knew I wanted to cover and highlight. There are a couple of other things that are a little more like kind of in the weeds of how positron works. So let me grab. Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to look at. Yeah, so this is a great example. My billboard data is still here. It never went anywhere. Even when I don't close the kernel, that sometimes that'll disappear. And that's a bug, which I do find pretty frustrating because a lot of the time when I am working, I will want to do something like sort of interactively apply some change, whatever. Let's just say I want to add. Okay, so I want to add this. I want to go look at this. This is something I only recently discovered existed. It's just a cute little thing about how view works. If you want, you can add a title. Doesn't have to be this long. I would make them a lot shorter normally, but you can do this. And now you have this handy little title that you can use to refer to your data thing. That also works in RStudio. That's just part of how Vue works. But as a person who uses Vue interactively quite often, I was very pleased to learn that. So normally I would leave something like this open to remind me, oh, this is the manipulation that I did. And I can go and check my new, not very interesting variable because it just puts the same number everywhere. So I like to do that. It's nice to be able to interactively pop data up, but then sometimes you just do something kind of simple that like shouldn't upset it too much. I don't know, maybe I'll open Iris and all of a sudden it's decided that this can't be there anymore. So I'm not sure what's going on with the kind of persistence of that. That's pretty annoying. But again, it's a little buggy, especially if you're experiencing bugs when you try to use it. Let them know. They're pretty responsive and very helpful. Let me see. So I did have, those were the main things I wanted to cover, but I do have an additional set of notes. Get the file editors. One thing, if you are coming from RStudio and you would like to be able to use the R key map, I believe if you go settings, and I believe it's in extensions. Nope, not in extensions, it's in Workbench. I know it's for this 1%. Where do you report bugs? You can report them on the GitHub page for Positron. You can check and see if they already have an issue open, because a lot of people are having the same problems, obviously. But yeah, if you just go to their GitHub page, you can leave a comment. And I heard back really quickly about one of the bugs that I reported. Profile settings. Okay. I'm going to find my way back to, that's probably here. Not here. Weird. So the gear icon doesn't exist anymore. At the time that I was doing this, there was a gear icon that would take you there. Maybe in profile, actually. There we go. It's here. Extensions. Nope, that's not either. All right. I'm not going to make you guys watch me look for that, but But you can activate, if you don't have it activated automatically, you can activate the RStudio key map. Yes, thank you, Orville, for putting the link in the chat. So for example, if you're used to using the keyboard shortcuts in RStudio, like the sort of insert section, you have a couple of options. One is you can go to the command palette and you can say, I'd like to insert a section, which is pretty cool. So the command palette is another really powerful option. Here we go. If I go to the gear here, nope, it's just going to show me the preview. So if I say, all right, I'm working in here, command palette, it's Shift Command P, and you can basically search for almost anything you can dream of doing here. And again, obviously not super easy to find everything, but things like, hey, I'm using our code. I'd like to insert a new section, and then you can give that section a label just like you normally would. Here's a section, boom. And if I'm looking in the Explorer panel and I'm looking at my outline of my objects, I can go through my sections that way. So I did show the outline earlier, but I didn't mention a couple of things that are really cool. One is that you can change how you sort. So it will automatically sort of collapse things into the relevant sections. So if you've got, for example, anytime you assign a variable, and you'll notice that like when you do a lot of you assign over something else, right? When you do that, you'll get entries both times. You'll get an entry every time you do some kind of, you save a variable under some name. Your function gets an entry, your list gets an entry, but you don't have to sort it chronologically or sort of in the order of the text. So sort by position, that's what it does, sorts just from the top down. Sort by name, alphabetically. This can be really nice if you're trying to very quickly jump around, especially a really large script file. I'm guilty of putting a lot of my stuff all in one file instead of splitting it out into separate ones. So I make really copious use of sections. So being able to, if you can do this so easily alphabetically, it might even inform the way you start to name your sections, right? You might be like, okay, this is A1, this is A2, and then, you can access them that way, or maybe you have them named based on sort of cat type of thing, and then you've got another dimension you want to sort them on, like this is for all of my numeric variables, this is for string, whatever. Or you can sort by category, right? So I can do that, and now I've got my functions and my object assignments, my kind of variable assignments, and my sections. And again, here it's, if I had multiple things in the plotting section, like if we just put something else here, I'll just save the change that I made here to billboard 2. I want to hit view, so it pops that open. Right. If I add this, now it's going to put that there. Then if I tell it I would like to sort by category, I can do another, I don't know, another func. Okay. And with this func, put a third func right here. Very useless funcs here. And here it sorts that way. Or I can just say, sort them in order, and then I get this. So if you're spending a lot of time jumping around, navigating around your files, the outline thing is extremely helpful. All right, so we've got outline and file editors. Oh, another thing I didn't mention about the Quarto thing is, and you can do this in RStudio as well, but you can go into visual mode for editing, and you can switch back and forth. And when you do that, again, you get this nice little easy to follow outline that you can kind of click to jump around. This isn't a super fully featured editor. For example, I had to kind of manually code my font blue. It doesn't have like a super rich set of text editors. You're probably better off editing in source mode, but sometimes it's nice to switch back and forth, even if you aren't using those handy little kind of Quarto preview options. There's also help documentation and how that's shown. So probably familiar with the question mark. Nice thing is if you type the question mark, you automatically get this little document kind of info pop up. Here it's scrollable, it's resizable, it's got all of the coloring in place, which is really very handy. If you would like to just pop it open, so one option is you could start typing it and it's a setting, you can decide to have it jump up. Bye, thanks for coming. Shift Command P was for searching the help. Is it for searching the environment? Sorry. So the Shift Command P is the command palette. So if you want to search the environment, you can just go here. So if I click on search, and it's going to be searching among like my files and sort of like frequently, or in this case, recently opened things. So whatever I could say, I think I had something called index, right? So it shows me index of HTML, and it shows some other files. That's if I just click on the search. If I want to search, as you said, the Shift Command P is for searching command options. Yeah, no worries. No, and then again, the command palette is very useful, especially if you're used to using a lot of the powerful features in RStudio and you're just trying to find them and you don't feel like clicking around in menus forever. This is a pretty good option. I'm actually going to see. References, key maps. No, still. I absolutely cannot find that one. Give up. All right, but as I was saying, so when you start to do this, you're going to get a little preview like you do in RStudio, and it will, depending on your settings, show you this. It also has this really nice feature. It's telling you you have a problem. In this case, it's saying I've got an unmatched open delimiter. And you may have noticed I also have a problem that popped up here. This will apply if I just start making problems all over the place, right? I am going to get this map, and I'm also going to get this map across files. So if I break something, let's see, if I break something over here, actually, that's not truly breaking. Let's see, that doesn't realize that that's breaking. What's something I don't have loaded? Don't have the describe package loaded, right? So, or describe function. So this is a function that's in the psych package, describe. Now I've got 3 problems scattered over my separate files. And it's trying to make suggestions where it thinks it can help, thinks it's figured out what I've done wrong, or it's just telling me that I've typed something wrong. Let's see, which one is it? Yeah, this one is a syntax error because I kind of didn't finish the formula. So I take that away, problem goes away. I can jump here. This is really cool because this problem goes away if I load the package that that thing is from. Right? So now still have some other problem. Yeah, I've still got a delimiter problem. But my problem in the other file right here has now gone away. So great. I don't have to worry about not having that in my namespace. And I can do that, right? It was already in the code. It picked it up as an error, and then it was like, oops, my bad. You're good. Please move on. All right, so again, about help. So there's the mouse over help. There's also, and you can do this in RStudio as well, you may have known. In my case, I have to hit looking up the help topic. Odd. No, you know it's there. Great. Now I can't find my help documentation. that. Right. And I'm once again getting inexplicable errors. However, this does typically work. In my case, it's a function F1, and it just has the effect of still calling up this same help documentation, but it calls it up in the help viewer, so it's a little separate. It's a little easier to kind of scroll down to where you want it and keep it there and not worry about where you're moving your mouse in order to have access to the text. So who knows why that shortcut's not working, but these things happen. You're welcome. All right, let me see if there's anything else that's like really worth going over. I think otherwise we've kind of hit on most of the greatest hits. Flexible ways of organizing your outline. Timeline lets you restore from the save states. Nope, nope. Yep, that was pretty much it. So
Awesome.
again, unless there's anything else anybody wanted to kind of look at or cover.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Or anything question we didn't answer?
I think I got all the questions in the chat. So I will share the information about how to download Rig. And I will also share some videos and like a blog post or two that I looked at when putting this kind of presentation together. And thank you so much for your patience for me kind of occasionally clicking around in panic.
I'm gonna stop this recording real quick.